Hey there. So, I'm back from a really nice little vacation. Straight from very humid, very hot weather to what I believe is currently like 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. And that's cold for the people who don't know about Celsius. But at least the sun is out. Anyway, I'm excited to get back to work here. Continue with the guitar recordings, maybe kick off the vocal recordings soon as well. But in the meantime, as I was on vacation, it kind of gave me an opportunity to start thinking about some different things, like artwork and discussing that, as you have seen maybe in the last episode, but also about marketing, as far as that's really something that I think about. And that in turn made me think about the genre that we as Aarausians are kind of labeled as and seen as. So that's something I wanted to talk about today, ask you guys for your opinion, and so let's do it. So as you guys probably know, we're most commonly referred to as prog, whatever that might mean really. Prog rock, post-rock, progressive, dream pop, whatever. So to me all of these labels are kind of silly. I never ever think about those things when writing music. It's really not interesting at all to me, to be honest. But at the same time, I have to acknowledge that this type of labeling can be important when it comes to marketing. So let me lay out the following example. When the record is done soon, it'll be sent out to the press for review, right? Now this is not something we do ourselves, it's something that our label does, because we're still signed to Long Branch Records. Nevertheless, when they send out copies for review, in the email and in the biography that will be sent with the email, they will highly likely mention in which genre we operate. They might even mention it in the email directly, or if not that, then it will be mentioned in the biography. And the reason they're doing that is to kind of set the stage as to what to expect from us. So for instance, our record might be sent out to someone who writes for a prog-related webzine. Now if that person, if that reviewer will read in the email or the biography that we're a prog band, well, there's a couple of things here. So in the first place, that person will probably be more likely to give our record a listen and write a review about us. So that's good. But at the same time, that's where it becomes a little bit of a double-edged sword, because we as Aarausians, we don't fit in so neatly with the prog genre. So that reviewer might have certain expectations, and then when he listens to our record, we might kind of disappoint him. He might think, or she might think, like, wait a minute, this isn't that proggy. This doesn't sound like this and this band. And so I don't know what to do with it. So that might result in him not writing the review anyway, or perhaps not writing a very generous review. Who knows, right? But here's the thing. If we decide to not label ourselves prog, but something else, the whole situation might be turned around. You know, let's say we label ourselves as indie pop. Much bigger genre, right? Much bigger pool of bands. So perhaps also a much bigger array of press that we could reach out to. But then there's also more competition from other bands asking for reviews, so it might be harder to get reviewed in the first place. But then back to the point I was making previously, if we label ourselves as indie pop, well, then again we might be picked up for a review a little bit easier by people on that side, but they in turn might think like, this is kind of complicated. This music is kind of proggy. I don't know what to do with it. So then again, you might either get a bad review or no review at all, possibly. So yeah, I just don't really know what the right approach is there, but intuitively I feel much more comfortable with a label like just plain rock or pop, or something that is not as pigeonholed as prog music. With the prog label specifically, just personally and intuitively, I don't really see or hear how we fit in. We get lumped in with bands like Haken, for example, and no disrespect there at all. Like, I just don't see the comparison there. I think both bands have a very different, we take inspiration from very different sources, and I think just ultimately that what we're trying to convey here is something very different. Like I've said it before, but to me, Our Oceans is a singer-songwriter project in the first place, and the fact that we might sound a little bit proggy here and there, it's more of a remnant of our past than it is something that we're consciously doing at this point. Whereas bands like Haken, for example, to me, stylistically and artistically, are just doing something completely different, And so personally, if you ask me, I'd much rather get out of this prog thing and start labeling ourselves as something different. Having said that, I might not be the person to ask this question because, first of all, admittedly, I'm not a marketing expert by any stretch of the imagination. And second of all, I have to acknowledge that my opinion just might not be relevant here, because ultimately it's much more important what people outside of ourselves think about our music, how they interpret our music. And so with that, I have a question for you guys. If you had to label us, what genre would you put us in? Would you go for a very broad genre like rock, pop, or maybe zoom in a little bit more, prog rock, or maybe zoom in and create kind of a niche market even more so, like, who knows, prog, indie, post-rock, singer-songwriter, whatever. And then secondly, would you feel that it's smart to label ourselves as that label that you think we might fit in from a marketing perspective? And lastly, I'm just curious, are there any bands out there that you think sound kind of like us, or that we sound like? That might also be interesting to me, because then I can look up what genres these bands operate under, how they label themselves, and how they do their marketing. So yeah, please do let me know. You can leave a comment under the YouTube video or wherever else we might post this little video. And I'll probably also have a conversation with our label soon, as their opinion might be a little bit more informed when it comes to this type of stuff. So we'll see. But in the meantime, thank you once again for your support. Thank you for listening, and catch you soon. Bye-bye.